What is going on, people? Welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are doing well. Are you doing well? In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to layer your drums. I've already put a couple of melodies together that I'll put some drums over, and as I'm adding the drums, I'll sort of tell you guys what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But before we get into the video, you've been with me, you know what I'm going to say. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel if you enjoy the video. Hit the bell so you don't miss out on another upload. So I put together a little melody loop. I know you guys probably don't want to hear it now, but here is the melody loop. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and start throwing on some drums to this beat, and I'm going to kind of walk through what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Now the first thing that I tend to do is just make the drums how I want them. So like, you know, put the hi-hats where I want them, put the clap where I want them, the snare, you know, the main percussion, and then I'll just sort of go from there. So let's make a start to it. Okay, cool. Now I've got my basic drums in. I know like sort of where I want the bounce of the beat to go. Now I'm gonna go in and start filling in, you know, some perks, and then I'm gonna start layering up some of these sounds, you know, just to fill them out a little bit more. So let me dive into it and I'll show you what I am doing with it. The first thing that I will do is just add some perks. So this is not necessarily layering sounds on top of each other, but this is just filling in the gaps of the beat where, you know, where I don't think the artist will be making noise. So it just sort of gives it a bit of added bounce. So, little perk, you know, stick perk. I like to use this a lot in my beats. You can just put that in at the beginning. And to be honest, with this beat, it doesn't sound like it needs that many perks. I want the bass to sort of be more prominent in this beat and the melody. So maybe one more perk, and then we'll start layering up the sounds. So this sound, it's pretty dope, so we'll go with that. And then one more, I think, just at the end of the whole 8-bar, just to kind of add a little, you know, finale to it, like a sort of snare hit or something like that. So I pulled up this, another little stick perk. I'm going to throw that in. Okay, that'll do. Okay, cool. Okay, that sounds good to me. Now is the good part where we start to fill in the beat, start to make it sound nice and thick, and just make the drums sort of sit on top of the mix a little bit nicer. So there's no strict order, and there's no like definite way of, you know, every single beat you need to layer these sounds up. That's not a rule. It's basically just go with whatever, you know, just go with your instinct. If you feel like, let's say for example, this clap, that clap didn't sound, you know, as hard as you wanted it to, and turning it up didn't really do it for you, then you can go in and start adding different sounds to it. And you can literally layer the sound up with any other percussion sound, as long as it's not a kick or an 808 or something like that. You know, just something that's sort of in the same frequency range. So it could be another, you know, a snare. So let's see how that sounds with the snare on top of it. not too great. Let's try another snare. It's not too bad. Let me try another clap, see how that sounds. So I've got like, maybe something a little bit thinner. Maybe that. Yeah, that sounds good. It kind of gives it more of like a clicky snap kind of sound. And again, this is just a subtle sound. It doesn't have to be anything real sort of loud and in your face, just depending on what kind of beat you want to make. But that sounds good to me, so I'm going to leave the clap like that. That's a good sort of layered sound that I wanted to get. Another thing you can layer up is the hi-hats. Again, you can just sort of layer this up. Tends to be with another hi-hat. I wouldn't normally layer up the hi-hat with like a clap or something. It just wouldn't sound right. For those of you that don't know how that would sound, this is what it would sound like if you laid it up with a different sound that wasn't a hi-hat. Not great. So what we're going to do instead is layer it up with another hi-hat. Again, this doesn't have to be done. For me, I'm not going to layer this sound up. Just because I'm already happy with how that hi-hat sounds in the beat. But if you feel like you want to keep a certain sound in the beat, but it's not prominent enough, then you go in and start layering up the sound. So let's say, for example, this hi-hat wasn't as clean as I wanted it to be. So let's say, let me just put in a little crappy hi-hat instead of that one. Just take that. It's really thin. Instead of just taking it out completely, add another hi-hat. So maybe something like this. Okay, that sounds a little bit better to me. Now I'm just going to take these out and put back the original hi-hat, but that's something that you can do. So if you've got a real thin hi-hat but you don't want to take it out of the beat, just layer another hi-hat on top of it, maybe drop it down a couple of keys, just to play with some of the pitch and stuff like that. Yeah, but you can literally just do anything with it. So that's the first two instruments done. Okay, now we've got a snare. Again, this snare is quite thin, but I kind of like it for this kind of beat, so that sound there. That sound. Again, this can be layered up with, snares, you can tend to layer them up with pretty much anything, a hi-hat, a cymbal, a clap. It just depends on whatever kind of vibe you want to go for, again. So for me, I think if I were to layer up this sound, I'd probably layer on top of it with like a perky kind of sound, like a rim shot, something like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick and just duplicate the snare pattern with that rim shot. And it's quite a high rim shot. I want that to be a bit lower, so I'm just going to drop this down by a few keys. Cool, and again, once you've got the sound in and it does sound okay, play around with the volume, play around with the pitch of the sound until, it really just sit nicely in the mix. The frequencies were kind of clashing a little bit with the snare, so I dropped this, the perk sound down by a few keys, and it sounded pretty dope. Okay, and now to be honest, there's not much more that I would do with this, plainly because it's a fairly simple beat and you don't want too much room being taken up for the bass to come in. Okay, so now all I'm going to do is just throw in a bass. This is kind of like an added part to the tutorial, but it's not. But I thought I may as well finish off the beat for you guys on camera. So I'm going to throw a bass in, maybe a kick, and I think I'll be pretty much done with this beat. Maybe add a counter melody in later on, but I won't bore you with that as part of the tutorial. But yeah, I'm going to throw a kick, I'm going to throw an 808 in now. Okay, I am pretty much done with that beat. I'm going to give you guys like a full preview of the beat. I'm going to layer it out into a full, into like mostly a full beat. And but yeah, enjoy the beat. I will see you at the outro. Okay, so we're pretty much there with that video, guys. Again, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If there's any other techniques that you guys use in your beats, you know, to layer up sounds, to, you know, thicken them out a little bit, drop them down in the comments. I want to know what you guys do as well. I want to learn from you guys as well. But yeah, if you found any value from it, make sure that you have subscribed to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell so you don't miss out on another video. That is all for today, people. I will see you next time.